George Stephanopoulos is under fire for a number of undisclosed donations that he has made to charities run by the Clinton family over the past few years. And now people are calling for his job, if not his head. The news anchor, who served, by the way, in Bill Clinton's White House, that has to be acknowledged, he acknowledged Thursday that he had donated $75,000 to the Clinton Foundation between 2012 and 2014 for global AIDS prevention and deforestation work. And so clearly he needs to go down hard. He's trying to stop deforestation
How dare
and the AIDS prevention. Now, while the donations appeared on the Clinton Foundation's website, which is public knowledge, Stephanopoulos did not disclose them in recent broadcasts that featured stories on the foundation, which has come under scrutiny for accepting foreign donations. Coming out of that, it's not hidden information. He didn't try to have it be hidden. It's not anonymous donations. You could find out about it if you wanted to.
Yep.
At the same time, I think many people will say, if you're going to be talking about that charity and donations to it, you should probably mention it from time to time. And I think that that's fine. Now, we're going to have some of the criticism of him and his response to it. But what's your response to this? Do you think that he should recuse himself from covering the stories?
In my perception, is the biggest non-story that we've covered in an entire year. I'm glad that we're discussing it because there are certain criticisms of mainstream media that I think it brings up. And I think that there is that obsession with seeming objective, right? So if you're working for the mainstream press, you're supposed to pretend as though you're objective, even though every single person you see on television has some sort of political bias. And so if you donate to a charity that has some sort of affiliation to any administration or any type of politician, all of a sudden, oh my God, you're not an objective journalist anymore. None of them are objective.
Yeah.
The only difference here is now we know what his leaning is, maybe, right? Yeah. And so I think that it's much better to let the audience know what your biases are. And of course, when you do reporting, you do it in the most honest fashion possible. You give the audience the facts. You don't twist the facts. You don't twist the statistics to meet your political agenda. And it is what it is. Like the fact that he's getting in trouble because of the fact that he donated $50,000 to a charity that's associated with the Clintons is ridiculous.
And he did it publicly. Again, he didn't do it secretly.
Yeah,
This is not a secret. So
I'm not a big fan of his, don't get me wrong. So, but this is a defense of people who work in the media industry who get in trouble for stupid things like this. They should get in trouble for not reporting the facts, right? They should get in trouble for not asking follow-up questions that make sense. They should get in trouble for lying to the audience. But in this case, none of that happens.
I would argue that if they're going to get in trouble for not reporting donations, it shouldn't be the donations they make for deforestation. It should be the donations corporations make to our politicians.
Yes.
But nobody really seems to care about that.
How about the entire media industry should get in trouble for the money that they make through sponsors, through corporations that have a direct impact on the type of reporting that they do.
This is Shirley Sherrod all over. This is the right wing.
Trying to take him down.
They're manufacturing a pretend scandal. And of course, liberals, being the huge pussies that they are going to run away from it and try to answer to it. I'm sure Stephanopoulos is going to be shitting his pants from now until something takes him out of the spotlight.
Yeah.
But I think what he should say, what George Stephanopoulos should say, is that we should get somebody good who's objective, like Bill O'Reilly and Lou Dobbs.
Exactly.
That's who should we get? Who's objective? There's no one who's objective.
Nor should they be. They cover politics every day. If they don't have an opinion after that, then they are robots.
Okay, so I love that you brought up O'Reilly because it's the perfect context to bring him up in. Look, the issue is you have someone like Brian Williams who embellished stories and his career is over, right? You have someone like Bill O'Reilly who was caught doing more than just embellishing, just straight out lying about things. And the thing is, conservatives are so strong that O'Reilly wasn't hurt at all in that scandal, right?
No, it helped him.
It helped him. But when it comes to liberals, what is it with liberals? Why is it that we're so weak? Why is it that we can't fight back against these non-scandals?
Well, you're right. I don't know what it is. I'm not that way. I certainly wouldn't ever back down or apologize for anything like that. George Stephanopoulos, because here's the problem. He is in bed with them half the time. Yeah. So George is the host of a big corporate news show. He's pals with all these corporate guys, and the problem is he's not a liberal. So he doesn't really, when they attack them for being liberal, they feel they defend themselves because they're not really like, no, I'm not really fucking liberal, because they're not really fucking liberal.
Yeah,
so
they're
that's
finally
why,
being honest.
if they really believed in liberalism, they wouldn't apologize for it, but they don't, which is why they do apologize for it.
Yeah, no, I do want to get to an actual example of, you were saying that they are attempting to manufacture a controversy around this. This is Megyn Kelly. This is a prime example of that manufacturing process ongoing today.
Last month, Stephanopoulos got national attention for his tough interview of Peter Schweitzer, the author of the book Clinton Cash. That is the blockbuster new book detailing an allegedly suspicious pattern of behavior by the Clintons, where they took hundreds of millions of dollars for themselves and their family foundation.
Do you have any evidence that a crime may have been committed? We've done investigative work here at ABC News, found no proof of any kind of direct action. There's no evidence at all that Hillary Clinton got directly involved in this decision. Do you have any evidence that she actually intervened in this issue? The Democrats have said this is indication of your partisan interest. They say you used to work for President Bush as a speechwriter. You're funded by the Koch brothers.
What you did not hear in that interview is that as Stephanopoulos was grilling the author of Clinton Cash, Stephanopoulos failed to disclose that he himself had donated $75,000 in Clinton Cash of his own.
Now, I'm gonna have to guess, because I did not watch the entire interview. What you probably didn't hear in Megyn Kelly's reporting in that video is that the Clinton Cash book needed to be updated by its publisher because it contained a number of factual inconsistencies, and so the Kindle version has now had an update to it that fixes those lies that he put in the book.
George Stephanopoulos worked for Bill. He was their press secretary. So
yeah,
it's not like this is a secret that he's friends with Bill Clinton.
I've never heard that he was the press secretary before. It was a secret, apparently.
But that's what they're trying to make it look. He made that guy disclose that he was a speechwriter for George Bush, but he didn't say he don't. Everyone knows he's fucking best buddies with Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
That's like asking Eric Holder, hey, why don't you tell anybody you knew Bill Clinton? They know, everybody knows.
Joe Biden gave a speech. He never even said he was vice president.
He never even mentioned it.
Maybe because they're famous, they don't need to.
Exactly.
Anyway, so Stephanopoulos has actually responded on his program. Let's take a look at that.
Now I want to address some news you may have seen about me. Over the last several years, I've made substantial donations to dozens of charities, including the Clinton Global Foundation. Those donations were a matter of public record, but I should have made additional disclosures on air when we covered the foundation. And I now believe that directing personal donations to that foundation was a mistake. Even though I made them strictly support work done to stop the spread of AIDS, help children, and protect the environment in poor countries, I should have gone the extra mile to avoid even the appearance of a conflict. I apologize to all of you for failing to do that.
I love it. That is if I ever have to apologize for something, I hope it's an apology that allows me to say, I've made many donations. I'm personally responsible for stopping AIDS and deforestation, but I guess I'll apologize.
Right. I do a lot of charity work. Like most of my weekends are taken up by charity work, and sometimes when I'm doing charity work, I do something that I have to apologize for. So I apologize, and I'm going to go back to doing some charity work.
It was a very well-crafted apology. And so people are asking for him to possibly lose his job, which seems crazy, but they're especially saying that he should step out of moderating any debates in 2016, which I think is a little bit more up for debate, possibly.
I think he should back out of moderating those debates, too, and here's why. Because he's a shitty moderator. I don't know if you remember the last time he moderated debates, he spent the whole time talking about the fucking estate tax. Like, that was the problem, and he got that question straight from Sean Hannity. I don't know if you remember 4 years ago, but I do.
Okay, so we might have to support him being taken out. But he says, I think I've shown that I can moderate debates fairly. That said, I know there have been questions made about moderating debates this year. I want to be sure I don't deprive moderators or viewers of a good debate, as I have in the past. Yes, and so, look, there's a lot of scrutiny on the media over the past 6 months or so. Some of it justifiable, most of it is completely missing the point about how we need to be watching the media. And I think that Anna did a great job of laying out some of that. And it sucks that we get caught in these little side things. Like, he gave money, he didn't donate it to her campaign, it was to a charity, and he's probably right. He probably makes millions of dollars, he gives a lot of it to charity, some of it is connected to politicians. He was already biased towards her, which we should expect. It doesn't matter if he also gave money to AIDS research.
I think this whole objective journalism jig is up. And I'm not saying that objective journalism isn't desirable. I think objective journalism is important. But I think that our obsession with it has led to this weird misconception that we need these robots that don't think for themselves and they have no political affiliation whatsoever. Every single person you know that's on TV that does the news, unless they're a complete idiot who doesn't follow the news, has some sort of political leaning. In this case, we are very clear about what his political leaning is. And I don't know, it doesn't bother me. I would much rather critique the way he reports stories as opposed to where he's given his money in the past.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, objective journalism is fine and it's good and there are benefits to it, but I think informed journalism, helpful journalism, journalism that isn't fully corrupt, I mean, those are more important. And I don't think the media is willing to attack other media outlets on whether they're objective. They're not willing to attack on if they actually educate the population, if they are not overly influenced by their corporate overlords. They don't want to get into that sort of spitting match because they'll all be covered in spit.
he works for a huge multinational corporation.
Yes.
They get all their money from oil companies, Walmart, banks, and that pays his $1 million salary. But he's supposed to be objective when he reports on them? Yeah. Is that what it's supposed to? They're paying the company he works for millions of dollars on a weekly basis. He gets millions of dollars a year from those people, but when he covers Exxon and Walmart and Goldman Sachs, he's supposed to be objective. So you're right, Anna. The thing about objective journalism, I wish it would have went out the window a long time ago, because now what you taught me is that they've replaced objectivity with neutrality, right? And now they go, I'm neutral, but they don't say I'm neutral. They say I'm objective, and they're not anymore. So let's just get rid of it.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.